YouTube! Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to be playing some Magic the Gathering Midweek Magic. So in this week's Midweek Madness, we have a bunch of really powerful decks. This specific deck right here called Golgari Midrange. This is an extremely powerful black and green deck, and although this is the Alchemy one the game provides, we can look at what top players are using currently in the meta using MTGGoldfish. It's a website which just like has Magic the Gathering information. If we sort by 30 days, we can see that Golgari Midrange is actually number 4 in most popular. Although there are decks that are higher like meta percentage, that's not bad. Very good in fact. Although the cards that most meta players use, such as Mosswood Dreadknight and Tenacious Underdog, like, you know, the better black and green cards, aren't really shown truly in the Alchemy build on MTG Arena, but that's fine. It's still going to be a cool event. I want to try out Golgari Midrange. Any hand with Mosswood Dreadknight I think is a good hand in my opinion. So let's see, we don't really have a turn 1 play, so doing a land that's tapped, enters the battlefield, doesn't really lose us any tempo. So we'll play that out first. What is that? Okay, I'm gonna play the Swamp. Yeah. And then I'm gonna summon this guy as a monster. I wanted to activate the spell effect, but I'd rather have a monster on my field, just in case things get hairy. Virtue of Persistence is such a cool spell because I can do this. I can get rid of this card, which is like, you know, pretty problematic. And then Virtue of Persistence stays in the hand because it's an adventure. Well, not technically stays in the hand, excuse me. It's in the exile pile, but it's like a second hand. What does this do? Whenever an opponent casts a spell, if no mana was spent to cast it, counter that spell. And the ring tempts you as well? That is a crazy card. I think I'm just going to summon this out. Sheoldred kind of just applies so much pressure where it's kind of like, yeah, if you don't get rid of me, I kind of warp the game. Which is nice. Very nice. I'm going to attack with Mosswood. If they choose to block, it's not that detrimental to us because we can just activate Mosswood's sorcery effect. Ooh. So many legendary creatures. At the beginning of your end step, you can discard a card, create a treasure token. Huh. Okay, our turn. Boseiju Mire is pretty cool here, but I don't really want to sacrifice anything. I am down to do a Spider. When Spider enters, I can destroy a card. That card's going to sacrifice itself in order to give everything indestructible. I will definitely do this, because that card's kind of annoying. Is this whenever one or more creatures you control dies, each opponent loses 2 life. Let's activate this first. So we draw a card, we lose 1 life, which is nice. We can destroy something, so let's destroy this, right? Let's get rid of that. That card's really good. Play out this. No text. Oh, Rada's really good too, right? When this one dies, it like summons something, I think. Summon out this. Summon out this. Summon out this. No text. Alright, this is looking pretty good for me. I'm gonna summon out this. Glissa kind of just puts the whole game on her back, which is exactly what I want. I will attack. I'm gonna attack with this dude. Are they gonna end their turn? I'm just gonna keep poking down. Okay, another treasure token. Let's enter battle. Let's do this. Let's do this. Do this. And do this. And that's it. Alright. Oh. Oh, they are so low on life. That's not even funny. I can probably just kill them. Can I? I think I can kill them. I'm gonna activate Boseiju Mire. I can search my deck for a card. And do I have anything that can burn? There is a card that's like 1 dark mana and it burns for 2 life, but I don't think they run it. Oh, they don't. It makes them discard a card in their hand. That's unfortunate. I could also just look for destruction. What do we kill? Probably the zombie dude, right? I'll grab another one of these. Let's do this. Ooh, that's a good monster. That's like when it attacks you, look, right? Oh no, that's a different one. Whenever you cast a white spell, create a white human soldier token. Blue spell, scry 2. Whenever you cast a red, deals 3 damage to target opponent. Holy crap, that's so many effects. Okay. I mean, if I attack with everything, you can't do anything, right? 1, 2, 3. No taxa. I have Glissa, so I could just chill on it. Oh, it doubled it? What happened? Oh, because it's like multiple spell colors, so it triggers each individual color? That's incredibly powerful. What I should have did last turn was just went up full on attack, but I was afraid I was gonna die, and I was rightly afraid to die because I mean he had Joda, which triggered everything. Yeah, I could have won last turn. That's okay. I don't really know my deck too well, or his deck. Let's get rid of that. And let's get rid of this, get rid of that. Can I 3? I think this is just game. I'm pretty sure I kill here. No, I don't. No attacks, right? I mean, if I attack, I win. Pretty sure. Right? I think so. Whenever another creature you control dies, you lose 1 life. Whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, you gain 1 life. When this dies, I gain life. When this... I think we just do this. I think this is game, if I'm correct. Actually, I shouldn't have attacked with Buran, but they surrendered anyways. That was tricky. That was really tricky. I think I played that really bad, but I'm still glad I won. So since the beginning, since I started learning Magic the Gathering, I've been trying to learn all the different cards and powerful cards in Magic the Gathering. And one of the first decks I ever made was a plain and water deck. It involved fairies and bouncing stuff back to the hand. It just was all the free generic cards that I ran. I think I ran this like at the very beginning of the series. I liked it. Well, it's been a while. I've been working on different colored decks. I'm no longer just a monocolor type of guy. I'm actually working on a Golgari Decklist. The reason I say it like that is because I just call it Death and Grass. But actually, a subscriber, Fearborn Hellkite, shared some extremely useful information with me, which I want to share with you. So here we have all the list of the names that I guess people call the different color combinations in Magic the Gathering. If I look right here, we got Golgari. This is green and black. That's what I'm using, and it's one of the most popular decks right now in the meta, along with Azorius, which is white and blue. There's some different colors. I'm not entirely sure why this is the name that's used, but this is extremely helpful because now I know if I do a green and black deck, I'm going to call it Golgari. I think that's what the player base calls it, right? But besides that, yeah, let me show off my deck. I'm calling it Dark Roots because, you know, it's stupid. It's whatever. I took inspiration from top Golgari meta list off MTGGoldfish and also just drew in cards that I think are generally good. The first one that you probably haven't seen before is Ashnod Flesh Mechanist. Reason I'm running it is because it's a 1 mana drop, it's Death Touch, which is good in its own, but also has an effect that if it attacks, I sacrifice another creature, get a Power Stone. Now, Power Stone tokens are interesting because although they say this mana cannot be spent to cast a non-artifact spell, I've been finding in actual gameplay that the effect on Ashnod that reads for 5 mana, exile creature from your graveyard and summon a token, yeah, the Power Stone actually counts towards that mana. It counts towards Mana to activate monsters' abilities. I don't entirely understand it, but it is something that I've been noticing. So this card is extremely cool because we have a lot of monster abilities that require mana in this deck, and it just helps out a little bit. For Cut Down, it's probably one of the best removal spells currently in the game. I mean, that's a lot of value just for 1 mana, and I just like having removal. It's pretty nice. That's why I go for 4, go for the Throw 2. I think it's the best removal in the entire game, as long as you're not going against an artifact deck, which has happened, I think, like once in like the 40 duels I played against like an artifact turbo deck, and I just lost because I couldn't destroy their cards. I'm running 4 copies of Tenacious Underdog because I think it's an incredibly powerful black card, although I do want to mention real quick that I think I have seen players run 1 to 2 copies since the release of Mosswood Dreadknight, so this card possibly won't be at 4 in the future, but as of now, as I'm missing a lot of the more powerful Golgari cards, I'm going to be running this at 4. And then I got 4 copies of Mosswood Dreadknight. I think this is the best card in the deck for the main fact that it's a draw one, and it's also a 3/2 monster with trample that just keeps staying on the board and coming back for only 4 mana, or even cheaper if you have Power Stones. But besides that, yeah, I love this card. This is my favorite card in the entire deck. If I have it in my opening hand, I think my chances of winning like go way up, because that free draw along with the monster is so good. I hope this card doesn't get banned. It's very good. Only 3 copies of Graveyard Trespasser. I like having it for the simple fact that it has a ward and your opponent has to discard, meaning that if they do want to get rid of it with a card effect that's targeting it, they lose a card in their hand. So it's a little more tricky to get rid of. Also, the banishing in the graveyard is nice because I don't always have to hit a monster. I can sometimes just hit spells, which can stop blue decks and other stuff like that. And I got 3 Liliana the Veil. Most people run 1. I like 3 for the simple fact that I'm missing some of the other Golgari cards, and it's a pretty powerful card on its own. It can get rid of an opponent's monster and then stay on the field and continuously each turn discard a card from you and your opponent's hand. I like the fact that it can do so much, especially get rid of an opponent's monster, that I run 3 copies. I just hope to never see 2 in my hand. We got 2 Phyrexian Arena. Most people run it at 2. I think 2 is a really good number. It's a solid card. It gets you an additional draw, but I never want to see like way too many versions of it. 1 is enough, 2 is plenty, 3 is a party. 3 is too much. Glissa Sunslayer. I would love this card at 3 or 4. I only own 1 copy, but it is the strongest monster that you can summon. Its First Strike and Death Touch, which work really well with each other. Essentially, Death Touch is if it battles an opponent's monster, it dies instantly, like after the battle. First Strike means it attacks first before anybody else attacks. When you combine those 2 things, you get Death Touch that hits anything first. So as soon as she attacks anything that doesn't have First Strike, it just dies from the Death Touch. And also, if your opponent chooses not to block and the attack goes through, you can just draw a card and lose 1 life, destroy an enhancement, or remove counters. It has a lot of things going for it. The only sad part about it, in my opinion, is that it's a legendary, meaning you can only have 1 on the field. So if you did run multiple copies, you can only have 1. But it's still really good for the fact that it's a Death Touch First Strike, and it also has like a draw effect built in. And then we have 4 copies of Sheoldred the Apocalypse. A very important black card. When you get it on the board, it usually just warps the game and it forces your opponent to have an out. And if they don't have an out, then they're at a significant disadvantage and the game is most likely not going to last that much longer. I run 4 copies because I want to see it as quickly as I can. In fact, I did test this deck with not only 4 copies of Sheoldred, but 4 copies of Beseeching the Mirror. Beseeching the Mirror essentially just searches Sheoldred directly from the deck so you can get it even quicker, and I absolutely love this card. And in a later build, if I do a later video once I get more of the cards in my collection and have them actually in my deck list, I will definitely be re-including Beseeching the Mirror. This card is just amazing. Searching directly from the deck, any card or any spell that's a mana value 4 or less is extremely powerful. It does have a bargain, which you need to sacrifice something, but if you tune the deck just slightly in order to have artifacts and enhancements at your disposal, this card is your best friend. It's extremely powerful. We're not running it because I'm missing some of the more powerful Golgari cards like this turtle. I wish I had this turtle. It's so good. But yeah. And then 1 copy of Sorin the Mirthless. This was mainly here because of Beseeching the Mirror, but it's also just a good black card. It's not amazing, but it is decent enough that its inclusion isn't a negative in the deck. It's just an option. And then 3 copies of Virtue of Persistence. This is a new black card from the newest set, Wilds of Eldoron, I believe. This card is removal, but not only is it removal, but it's also a very powerful black enhancement that can just special summon monsters from either graveyard once per turn. I don't know how a card like this could exist that has such a powerful removal effect that can just be run in meta black decks normally, but also have a second backup effect that is always there as long as you use a sorcery effect. It's incredibly powerful, versatile. I wish I had 4 copies, honestly. 3 is not enough. This card, I want to see this card. If I see this card, I always have an end goal of using the enhancement ability before the duel's over. And it's just lands. I'm not gonna lie, the lands is not super impressive. We do have 1 legendary black and 1 legendary green, Boseiju and Takenuma. But in terms of the dual lands, only 2 Deathcap. I wish I had 4. I don't. I have to run some of the worst ones, like Haunted Mire, which doesn't do anything. It just enters tapped. And Jungle Hollow, which at least gives you 1 life, which is a little bit better. And only 1 copy of Llanowar Wastes, which I had 4, and 3 copies of Restless Cottage. This card is so important, even though it's a land, because it can act as a 4/4 monster for only 4 mana. And the thing is, a 4/4 monster is impressive, but you know what's even more impressive? That the monster exiles from a graveyard, including your opponent's, and creates a food token, which generates you life. I have never seen a land in all of Magic the Gathering that does something like this. You might know of a land because you probably know more Magic the Gathering cards than me, but this is to me the single greatest Magic the Gathering land card ever created. I haven't seen any of the classic banned powerful ones, but currently in the standard metagame, this is the GOAT. This is greatest. I love it. And that's the deck profile.